Football is more than just a sport, and sometimes its players transform into true heroes. Didier Drogba is one of them. His devotion and generosity has brought people from different ethnicities, race, and political views together. The former Marseille and Chelsea striker is a football icon and an African legend in the sport, not only because of his achievements on the pitch, but his desire to give something back to his country. In England, he's remembered as an exceptional centre-forward and a man who always turned out on big occasions. But did you know that he and his teammates have also helped end a civil war in his home country of the Ivory Coast? With the Ivory Coast split into ethnic, religious and regional lines, the conflict began in 2002, where a rebellion group of military opponents of the Ivorian government decided to take the main cities of the country. The rebels attempted a coup, but it didn't work, so they took refuge in the north. That was just the beginning of the civil war in the Ivory Coast. 3 years later, the country's football team made history by qualifying for the 2006 World Cup for the first time after defeating Sudan on October 8, 2005. Despite the thousands of deaths during the first 3 years of the civil war, there was a reason to celebrate in Côte d'Ivoire. And all because of their team's qualification and great initiative carried out by Drogba, who became a godlike figure in his homeland. Not many people would disagree to label the national team at that time as a golden generation, comprising of some of the finest talents in Kolo Touré, Emmanuel Eboué and Didier Drogba, all of whom proved their mettle while playing in England's top division. And Yaya Touré, who at that time was a raw talent but managed to claim 3 Premier League titles with Man City later in his career, was waiting in the wings for a much-deserved chance following his impressive performances for Barcelona. The story of their qualification becomes more interesting when we find out that the Ivorians were just a point above Cameroon at the top of their respective group table and were waiting for the result against Egypt, despite winning their last qualifying game 3-1 against Sudan. With both going neck to neck to earn a place in the World Cup, the fate of both nations was dependent on the final result of their last qualifying match. A win for Cameroon would have seen them qualify for the competition for the 6th time in their history. Anything less would allow Ivory Coast to end their long wait to book their entry into the tournament for the first time. Having done their job, the Ivorians were desperately waiting for the result of the other ongoing match, with the scoreline locked at 1-1 after the end of 90 minutes at Amadou Ahidjo Stadium. Deep into stoppage time in a nail-biting encounter against the Pharaohs, Arthur Jorge's men were awarded a soft penalty, with the hope of more than 18 million West African fans lying at the feet of Pierre Wome. All expected their rock-solid defender to guide the ball into the back of the net. But much to the delight of the Ivorian fans, the Douala-born left-back's 95th minute attempt from the 12 yards careered off to the right-hand side of the goalpost. The final whistle saw players from Cameroon pulling shirts over their heads in disbelief. Celebrations started in Abidjan and Sudan, on the other hand, where the Ivorians secured an entry to the World Cup. However, the mood of the players in the dressing room suddenly changed after finding out the news of a worrying situation surrounding their homeland, with the rebels killing thousands of people. The team used the opportunity to invite press to their changing room after ending their country's 76-year wait to qualify for the biggest football tournament on a national level, where Drogba addressed the nation after being handed over the mic by the captain Cyril Domoro. The enigmatic striker called for national reconciliation for a country that had long been split into 2 groups, with the rebel group known as the New Forces of Ivory Coast controlling the north and the government controlling the south. A Champions League and 4-time Premier League winner at Stamford Bridge, Drogba's career has been painted with some unforgettable goals and plenty of trophies, but his proudest moment came in a tiny changing room in Sudan's second largest city of Omdurman.
Ivoiriens, Ivoiriennes, du nord et du sud, du centre à l'ouest. Vous avez vu, on vous a prouvé aujourd'hui que toute la Côte d'Ivoire peut cohabiter, peut jouer ensemble pour un même objectif, se qualifier pour le mondial.
Drogba was surrounded by teammates in the dressing room, which included players from different corners of what had become a divided country, with their arms around him and each other. The entire squad stood in deep silence to acknowledge every word of the Ivory Coast's number 11. Ivorians, we've proven today that the entire population of Ivory Coast can live together, from the north, south, centre and west. We prove today that all Ivorians can coexist and play together with a shared aim to qualify for the World Cup. We promised you that the celebrations would unite the people. Today, we beg you on our knees. The one country in Africa with so many riches must not descend into war. Please lay down your weapons and hold elections, and everything will get better. We want to have fun, so stop firing your guns. Inside, we wanted all that stuff to stop. When you play a match and you're surrounded by rocket launchers, we wanted to play in a more relaxed atmosphere again. So after that game, we were euphoric, and someone whispered in my ear that it was the right time to put out a message. Then we just improvised. By the time Drogba addressed the nation from Al Merrikh Stadium, the civil war had been raging for 3 years. The players' speech and the team's qualification for one of the biggest footballing events forced the government and the opposition to hold a meeting, which led to a peace treaty that resulted in a ceasefire. Tensions were increasing for the upcoming elections in 2002, with the prospect of further pain and bloodshed expected. The elections were carried out without any bloodshed, and by the time the national football team of the Ivory Coast lined up for their first World Cup match in the summer of 2006, the civil war had ended. In 2007, both sides of the conflict signed a peace agreement, and the president declared the war to have officially come to an end. The road to continued peace, however, has remained a dream for the Ivorians, because the elections, which were originally planned to take place in 2005, weren't held until 2010. The results were disputed and war soon broke out again. Though Drogba will be remembered mostly for his exploits on the pitch, his efforts to try and help bring an end to the civil war won't be forgotten by the people of his homeland, and even by the peace-loving people all across the world. A hero on the field, as proven by many medals and titles that he won at Chelsea, Drogba is equally heroic off the field. As time passes, he's become aware of his own influence and how to use it, and clearly he's using it for good. World Cup qualification proved to be a turning point for the Ivory Coast, with Drogba setting a new route. The striker also played a key part in the African Nations Cup qualifier against Madagascar. The match was originally planned to be played in Abidjan, but the venue was changed to Bouaké, the symbolic centre of the rebellion. Drogba topped off the huge celebration with his country's 5th goal in a 5-0 rout of the hapless and unfancied visitors. In the days that followed, Ivorians talked about nothing but Drogba. A football darling had become a political hero. Buses driving through downtown in Abidjan were covered with praise for the star player. Didier the Great, thank you Didier, and even Didier for president. Those empowered recognised Drogba's capacity to influence the public. That's one of the reasons why Charles Konan-Banny, Ivory Coast's prime minister at that time, even consulted him on political matters, and Drogba agreed to participate. I think that what I can give to the Ivorian people today is commitment to participation, because I think that the Ivorian people have suffered for too long. I think that today we have to begin again, to make a fresh start, and for that we need reconciliation, we need forgiveness, we need to learn again how to live together. I am lucky, not just because with what I am doing with football. I am lucky now that I can send my messages to the nation. I will send some messages and I hope that people listen to me, because I think it's very easy to make war, but it's more difficult to make peace, to make everybody sit together and talk to each other. In the Ivory Coast, some say that Didier is the man who stopped the civil war. Of course, history is much more complicated than that, but one thing is certain, Drogba put everything on the line to bring back the smile to the faces of his people. Today, he's one of the most respected men in his country, and not just for his football trophies. Drogba's effort contributed hugely to the country's great strides to become a stable democratic society, and for all his incredible success on the pitch, that remains his greatest achievement.